So we just finished episode 4, the first journey. This was a Domas episode in Ranking of the Kings. Freddie, what's your thoughts about it?
This is a character who is currently conflicted between his duties as a knight and his feelings for Boji.
As like a mentor guardian figure, right?
Essentially, yeah.
And I think Domas has a great character analysis to be made for this whole episode because it goes from Domas meeting Boji to Domas ending Boji.
Kinda, yeah. That's one way to say it.
That's how we see the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Right, so I want to open up with this first clip. This is just Domas' first time becoming Boji's mentor.
お前を息子の剣術指南役に任命する。期待しているぞ、ソードマスターよ。
You can see this man gets hyped. He gets super excited that boss picked him to be Boji's teacher.
I mean, it's probably a great honor to be picked by the king to go train his son. Like, you're literally in charge of the heir to the kingdom.
And not just any king. This is the 7th best king in this world. And in strength alone, number 1. He's clearly the strongest. I mean, his kingdom is probably not the best, but overall stats, like, you don't want to mess with this guy. And he's picking you to trust your care to his son.
Yeah, and it also has to do something with that. It's balls specifically, because I'm pretty sure at one point in the episode, Domas mentioned specifically that he modeled his swordsmanship style after Bosk.
Yeah, I think the whole kingdom has revered Voss in this way, to where that his swordsmanship is the only style, as we saw in previous episodes, where Boji was criticized. But again, Domas is excited, and he puts in this extra effort, and in this next clip, I want to show you that not only he goes above and beyond a mentor as just a sword teacher.
I mean, if you can find the right slide.
Eventually.
We're not professionals, okay? Eventually.
So right here, here's that clip.
今日はこのくらいにしましょう。
ありがとうございました。
ドーマス、
はい。
あの子に剣の才能はありますか？
今は何とも言えません。
そう、言っていいわ。
は。
ドーマス、だいぶ手話が上手くなりましたね。ぼっちを驚かせてあげなさい。
お喜びになるでしょうか。
そんなの知らないわ。
ぼっち様、調子はどうですか？通じた。
Boji definitely an amazing character.
ぼっち様、何も心配いりません。あなたは今のままで大丈夫です。私が必ずあなたを守ります。
So like in that clip, you can see that Domas is going above and beyond to not only be a good mentor, you know, because he could have just taught by showing. Boji can obviously see, but he decides to go above and beyond and wants to communicate with Boji into sign language as well.
I'd also like to point out that in episode 1, and I believe in episode 2 as well, Domas is the one who's doing the standing for the queen when she's talking to Boji.
That's also true. He also takes on that role. He also does it for King Boss as well in episode 2 when they go into his room and Boss is like, you need to get stronger, let's up your training. Domas is the one translating for Boji at all times, making sure that he's in the know and he understands. Even if it's something mean that the queen says, he makes sure that Boji is in understanding. There's very few times I think that he doesn't translate. But I don't know if that's happened yet or on screen. But I'm pretty sure, like the maid in the background, there's always somebody there to help Boji. stay in the room, stay in the loop.
Yeah, for everyone to try and help Boji stay in the loop. We find out very early on that it's very unnecessary for Boji.
Yeah, definitely. But this really, like, these first two scenes, they come pretty close back to back. Establish Domas as somebody that goes above and beyond for his job, really cares about Boji, and is trying to be a great teacher.
Yeah, and even makes a vow or an oath or whatever you want to call it. He says, "I swear I'll protect you." So he's already, signed on his loyalties for Boji.
All right. So on this next clip, is this first turning point of Domus's character. I think this is the first show of hand that we see to something a little bit more suspicious, but it's not just a one-sided thing. I think you see Domus the caretaker and Domus the knight both act in this one clip here, but to the regular audience member watching this episode for the first time, which is a great way to do it, is it just looks like Domus the caretaker and Domus a regular person. Right, so let's go into that clip.
すみませんで済むか。申し訳ございません。口出しゴムよ。あなたのミスは我々の責任なのです。ボッチ様、みんなお金を稼ぐために一生懸命生きているんです。そんな人たちに魔が差すような行為はしないでいただきたい。この失敗からしっかり学んでください。で、大したものは入っていなかったよな。
それがヒリング様がご両親に宛てた手紙が。
やばいじゃないか。はい。このまあ仕方ないか。
So right there, you saw that quick change of emotion and that little grin. That's what I'm talking about. We go from him yelling, "You fool," to then just completely changing his tune and saying, "Well, it is what it is," right?
Yeah.
And the reason I call this a tell is you can see him sweating about not being able to deliver that letter, but then he just changes because he knew the letter was never going to be delivered.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we should mention this since we didn't cover the first 3 episodes. There's an assassination attempt in progress for Boji at this moment. Right now, we don't know who it is, but we know it's going on. And
Oh, it's only this episode.
oh, it's really just this episode.
Just
Okay.
this episode. And we do know who it is by the end of the episode.
All right. So I guess this is our first hint on where would-be assassin is.
Yeah, it's a clear, like, okay, so it just seems like Domus is being a cool guy at the end of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like he just goes from "How did you lose this?" to
Oh,
it happens. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a little bit of a different meaning the second time you watch it.
You know, like if he goes back and the queen finds out the letter didn't get delivered, or Boji isn't back, which one's gonna take precedent?
Yeah.
Domus ain't gonna get in trouble for Boji's letter going missing, but he's definitely gonna get in trouble for
Boji coming back.
For Boji not coming back.
Yeah.
Right? And then this leads me to the next clip, and then this one doesn't really highlight this dynamic between Domus the knight and Domus the caretaker, but I think this highlights Domus the knight's principles.
上からのどんな命令にも従う覚悟はあるか。
例えばどんな命令でしょ
例えなどない。命令に従うかどうかだ。
う。わかりません。
覚悟が足りないな。私は従うつもりだ。上にいる方は計り知れない重圧と責任を背負っている。その方の下した命令が間違っているなんて、私たちごときが判断できるものではない。
そうですね。浅はかでした。
いや、いいんだ。
Okay, so here we have Domus basically asking Hokuro's opinion on what he's willing to do for his superiors.
And Ho obviously was like, well, depends on the order, right? Like a regular person would.
Well, Domas says, nope, can't question it. You just got to go through with it.
But you know what I find funny about this scene that I just realized?
Yeah.
Domas isn't signing.
Oh, he's not.
This is just a conversation between him and Ho.
Yeah.
Right? So he is trying, and I didn't realize it the first time watching it through or the second, but now the third time seeing this clip, it doesn't seem like Domas is just trying to say we should follow orders because, it's a casual conversation about how to be knightly, Because Ho is a new knight, so this is covered under the veil of, I'm teaching a new knight how to be the knight.
I was trying to see if Hokuro's on Domas' side.
Well, if Hokuro will go to Domas' side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that little bit of hesitancy that he saw, the little bit of questioning, Domas, I don't think here was trying to plant the seeds of like...
You should just do what your superior officers tell you.
Yeah, but I think he was just trying to gauge where Ho would do, if he would agree or not agree. And I didn't realize this, because it's easy to miss. But if you take into account that Boji can't hear them...
Yeah.
We know Boji can hear them. I mean, at least understand them.
Well, we know Boji can understand them through his conversation with Kage. Because Kage doesn't use sign language, but Boji understands it regardless.
Yeah, so we know he can read lips.
Yeah.
But given that fact, we know Domas here is doing a little bit more than just teaching him how to be a knight. He's doing... It seems like he's trying to convince Ho. You know what I mean? And it really starts to build up this character moment that this episode on the second watching, knowing what's going to happen is much more exciting than on that first watch where you just see it happen. Which kind of sounds ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like knowing the twist is going to make it better. But in this case, it does. Because Domas is set up as a perfect character for this kind of assassination.
Did you also forget Hokuro's name? Because I did.
Oh yeah, twice.
I literally looked up his name as while the clip was going. Anyway, next one.
All right, so in this scene, we're gonna see the assassination attempt. But which assassination attempt is the assassination attempt is hilarious to find out.
どうぞ、ボッチ様。
ボッチ様。
何者だ。どこにもいない。そんなバカな。
気配が感じられん。すでに去った。
何者でしょうか。
おそらく盗賊だろう。
きっと親子ですね。
ベビン、これはお前のナイフだ。いるんだろ。姿を見せろ。
Okay, so I don't think we've seen it in the clip, but those foxes die of poison.
Yeah. And then later in the scene, it's said that the kunai were poison laced.
Yeah.
But what I found very interesting about this scene is Domas clearly knows whose kunai they are the second he sees them. Then says he doesn't detect anybody. Right? And then goes out in the middle of the night after everyone's sleeping, screaming for Bebin to come out.
Yeah, he also... Yeah.
Right? And which is very strange because we met Bebin. He's a very capable fighter. We did see him lose and die already.
Well, die, quote unquote. Oh my god.
But he got dragged away by snakes. So we presume that he's out of the story and they could be somebody else's kunai. But the strange part is that if Domas knows who it is, then he probably knew before. So why didn't he yell his name then? Well, because he's not doing the protector role.
Yeah, he's doing the assassin role, which kind of begs the question is, were the knives actually poisoned or did Domas poison the meat? And Bevin protected Boji by preventing him from eating the poison meat.
Supposedly Bevan. We don't know who does it yet.
Yeah.
But here's another question. If you guys watch the clip, you'll see that Domas looks left before the kunais hit the meat. He looks, kunais hit the meat. So, and we haven't seen him fight anyone except for Data.
During training.
But given the speed of most of these characters, I think he's more than capable of stopping those kunai.
Until I see him fight, I don't know about that. Because he's probably fast enough to see the knives coming. If they were thrown at him, I'm pretty sure he would be able to dodge it.
Dodge, even push Boji out of the way.
Yeah.
Or put his arm in the way to protect Boji. But it seemed very obvious that he didn't make any movements towards those kunai despite seeing them. Right? So if this was a second assassination attempt on Boji, he wasn't doing his job to protect Boji, but it seemed like it was aimed at the meat.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason we have all these assumptions is because of this next clip.
地獄の門は数分ごとに
大量の炎が巻き上がります。まさに地獄の豪華のように。ボッチ様もご覧ください。そこが本当に見えません。
Yeah. So, our would-be assassin is the, at first glance, very affable, very friendly Domas.
And if you saw right at the beginning of the clip, he's giving his monologue speech to himself. Because again, Boji can't hear in his mind.
Yeah.
Boji can't hear him. And he's talking about how this pit goes off into flames every 5 minutes. Right? So we just see the flame, and then he turns to Boji and starts signing. And he says, Boji, if you come to this edge, you'll see the bottom.
You know, I just realized, what's the analogy he uses? Just like the flames of purgatory. You know what the flames of purgatory are, or what purgatory is?
I know what purgatory is. I don't know what the flames of purgatory are.
Okay, so the whole thing with purgatory, I believe it's supposed to be, you're supposed to go through fire that cleanses your soul of sin. Something along those lines, I believe.
Oh, but Boji doesn't seem like a very simple character.
Domas.
Maybe Domas, yeah.
He's confessing to his sins already. He knows what he's doing is a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely does. And then we see him push. And this is Domas the Knight, Domas the Assassin. I like the word knight because he's taking orders, and he's not doing it in a sly manner. He's doing what he's being told.
By King Data. We should probably mention that. So,
right.
King Data wants Boji dead. And he's using Domas for that purpose.
But I don't think Domas is doing it the most brutal way he can. He clearly is able to just get his sword, have the other guy go somewhere, like he just did, go to the hotel, and he could have brutally ended Boji's life. But he cares about Boji. He wants him to... He went with poison that looked like it instantly killed the foxes, because the meat only had like 2 bites in it. You know what I mean? The 3 foxes got a bite, and they died.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems like fact-acting poison. We see Boji getting pushed into literally a volcano of fire. That's instinct. He obviously isn't a brute, right?
Yeah.
And then if we go to this next scene, you'll see right after his reaction.
うしよう。
And right there we have
Domas asking for forgiveness because he knows he's done wrong, and this is somebody he really cares about.
Yeah. But he has his orders from King Data.
We assume.
We assume he has orders from King Data.
We don't know where the orders are coming from yet. It doesn't seem like he would do it in any other way except from orders, because he clearly says orders from his superior. I don't think the orders came from King Boss.
Boss is already dead.
Yeah. So the only other person left is Data. As far as we know currently. But this gives me a little bit of conflict. You know what I mean? He clearly doesn't want to do it.
But he did it anyway.
He did it anyway, but he didn't look for another solution either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so like, oh my god, what was it? Episode 2 or 3. The queen thinks that Boji isn't fit to become king, so she tries to set up her own son to become king. But her first solution isn't assassination. She tries to find a different way. Domas, on the hand, is, well, I was told to kill this kid. Now I gotta kill the kid.
Yeah, but I think the queen, in a similar position, cares about Boji as well. I think everyone in Boji's life cares about Boji because it just seems like he's such a likable person. As much as he's made fun of for being deaf and mute, he tends to make friends very easily. He tends to show empathy through actions very often.
I mean, he was able to befriend Kage in, what, 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not only Kage, if he befriends Domas very quickly, he makes sure that Domas knows that he really appreciated him learning sign language and gives that handhold, that personal touch. He does the same thing with Hokuro. Yeah, Hokuro. I've been calling him Ho.
Yeah, I noticed. That's why I kept saying Hokuto. So like, is he gonna pick up the name now? Or?
No, never. But Hokuro, when the foxes died and they buried it, he had a memory of death in his life, and Boji also popped up there in this episode. And it clearly shows that Boji is a very empathetic character, and that Domas would be very conflicted about this. And I think that is what makes this episode and Domas the character so compelling.
Yeah. He's torn between his loyalties towards Boji and his feelings towards Boji versus his duties as a knight. And his duties as a knight is to follow orders from your superior without question.
Alright, you guys, so in the comments below, how about you tell us a little bit about what you think about Domas? If it's been a while since you've seen the episode, go back and watch it. See what your feelings are about this man here. Is he despicable? Is he redeemable? You tell us after episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna have to rewatch it.